If you use Depo Provera and you were later diagnosed with a meningioma, you're probably wondering one thing. Do you actually have a case? Here's how to find out. There are two basic requirements. First, you received 2 or more injections of Depo Provera, Depo Sub-Q Provera, or an approved generic version. Second, you have an image-confirmed diagnosis of a meningioma in the brain or spine, usually from an MRI or CT scan. That diagnosis needs to have come after your Depo Provera use, not before it. If both of those apply to you, it's worth having your case reviewed, even if you're not sure it's strong enough. How long you use the drug matters too. The strongest cases generally involve a year or more of use. That lines up with the research. Women who used Depo Provera for a year or longer showed a meaningfully higher risk of developing a meningioma, and that risk climbed further with 4 or more years of use. Timing matters as well, and this is where a lot of people accidentally rule themselves out too early. Every state has a statute of limitations, typically 1 to 3 years from your diagnosis or from when you discovered the connection to Depo Provera. Some states extend that window depending on the circumstances. The only way to know where you stand is to ask. You don't need a perfect paper trail to get started. Helpful evidence includes your medical records, imaging reports, pathology reports if you had surgery, and pharmacy or prescription records showing your Depo Provera use. Even something as simple as remembering roughly when you started and stopped using the drug can help. If you don't have all of it yet, that's normal. Part of what a legal team does is help you track it down, using your medical providers and pharmacy records. So what actually happens during a case review? It's a conversation, not a commitment. You'll talk through your diagnosis and your history with the drug. Someone will ask a few questions about your treatment and timeline, and you'll get an honest answer about whether you have a case. There's no obligation and no pressure either way. It's free, and it typically takes less time than people expect. Here's something worth repeating for anyone in New York. The national settlement reached in June of 2026 doesn't cover every state, and New York is one of the ones handling cases independently, in state court rather than through that settlement. That makes individual attention even more important if you're a New York resident, and it's a reason to act sooner rather than later instead of waiting to see what happens nationally. One more thing that stops people from calling: cost. Michael Gunzburg, PC, works on contingency, which means there's no fee unless there's a recovery. Finding out whether you qualify doesn't cost you anything up front. If you use Depo Provera and were diagnosed with a meningioma, don't wait to find out where you stand. Call the number on your screen for a free, no-obligation case review. If you haven't already, watch the other videos in this series to understand the full picture, from the lawsuit itself to the symptoms that led you here.